나와 홍수나 북번께 투시나 샤바와키 시나무 키크라니 짜이 샤바키라니 짜이무 키크라니
What I eat today as a fatty. Got a large Sprite? Double cheeseburger.
And this is why we can't have nice things. Mandatory fat camp. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Gradowski, here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we will be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now. As of course, there's never a shortage of crazy things to talk about in 2025. That is definitely shaping up to be an absolutely wild year. We told you so. As of course, we have new details now emerging from the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion, as the FBI is coming out and saying that there's no connection with what happened with New Orleans. Is that true? Well, not really. Joe Biden also at the same time is looking at options for, just bombing Iran and starting a major war right before Donald Trump takes political office, as of course Mark Zuckerberg now is denying that he built a doomsday bunker. What's really going on here? Well, that's exactly what we are going to be discussing for the next 2 hours. So please share this broadcast with your friends and family members. We will be live for a very long time, and we appreciate you guys being a part of the conversation. We allow you guys to actually call in and be a part of the show through lukeunfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up for that, what are you doing? The link is in the description. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. You press right here, fill in a little bit of information, and you get 6+ members videos a week and the ability to join a special Telegram channel that I am in right now, where we are screening for callers. You could be today's caller. You could be a part of today's conversation just by signing up to lukeunfiltered.com. And if you are a first-time caller, you also get a free supplement on wearechange.shop, and you get to participate in really cool things like our Range Day, which is happening on February 1st in just a few days from now. We're going to be doing our best to read any and all super chats throughout the duration of today's conversation, as of course we will be prioritizing the Streamlabs super chats that of course allow us to only have a 3% service charge, not a 30% YouTube service charge. As of course, joining us for today's conversation is Matt Wolfenson. Matt, for the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
I'm an ex-leftist, ex-left.
If you can, just bring up the microphone a little bit closer, please. Yep.
Speak into the mic. Make love to the mic.
That just screwed me up for the next 30 minutes. Ex-leftist, ex-New Yorker, ex-ghostwriter, collaborator turned investigative journalist.
Oh, so you're a hard MAGA.
Yeah. You told me you'd nickname me. Yeah, that's
You're
pretty
hard
much true.
MAGA.
Yeah. I pretty much figured out. I collaborated on a big book about how the institutions grew up. It was a memoir, but it doubled as a history called The Controversialist. Worth checking out if you're interested in, how the deep state grew by one of its members. By the end of it, I pretty much decided this won't work, so I got to go hard partisan, hard populist,
Awesome. Well, let's talk about your transition, if we may, in a little bit. But you're also involved in local news here in Miami. Would be great to get involved in that as well. Lots of X's, and Martha has a lot of X's too, as she's here also joining us for this particular conversation. Martha,
oh boy,
who are you? For the people who don't know you,
Luke, you always have a wonderful way of introducing me. I am your co-host, and I am Martha Bueno, and you can all find me on X and IG at Bueno for Miami. And here to shake things up and add the little Latina spice.
Yep. Liza is here to make up for the lack of testosterone from all of us. Liza, who are you?
Pull my finger. I'm Liza Trainer, Liza Trainer X, and I build things you can't buy in a store.
That is true. You helped us build this amazing studio, so we're great to have you here. As Liza was a member of LukeUnfiltered.com, she came out to one of the meetups and said, "Hey, your studio, your setup sucks." And I was
Sucks.
like, "You're pretty much right." And we built this thing behind us, as you could see, which Stephanie also helped build as well.
Hi everyone, this is Steph We Are Change, and I am pushing the buttons. You can find me on Instagram at Steph We Are Change.
All right, let's just get into it because there's a lot of craziness unfolding right now at the beginning of 2025. We just had a major event unfold in New Orleans, another major event unfold in Las Vegas, while the FBI is literally working on DEI recruitment. As the New Orleans FBI was literally posting things about Taylor Swift and bracelets, and they were posting about how they're doing a larger kind of recruitment effort, just not for white males, because white males are bad, as they were literally recruiting people that were illiterate, overweight, drug users, and failed entrances exams in order to, of course, make up for their white workers, as they were prioritizing people that were female and non-white. This according to Jack Posobiec, as of course the FBI is extremely woke, and they have been targeting a lot of people that are politically expressing themselves and, you know, just allowing jihadis and ISIS Islamists to plan, coordinate, and do larger attacks against the American people, as, of course, the jihadi that committed the attack in New Orleans was literally posting videos about it beforehand on Facebook. And the Federal Bureau of Investigations that tracks, watches, and databases almost every single thing we do just missed it. Just another quinky dink, as of course another security failure by an agency that says you need to give up more of your rights in order to keep you safe. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel safe, especially with all the latest developments that we're finding out from these particular events, and just how absolutely politicized, woke, and disgusting the Federal Bureau of Investigations is internally, and how they run an organization that truly is there to hurt people politically rather than, of course, keep people actually safe.
Are you trying to say that white men are somehow better at security than women, Luke? I mean, what is your point here? Like, surely
Yes,
they
that's the
were
point.
busy
That's the exact point that I'm
doing
making.
something else. You know, like, how could they have missed the Facebook? It's almost like the FBI is always like, they were on our watch list, they were on our radar, and then they never managed to get the person.
Yeah, I mean, I think this story should be, why did the intelligence agencies fail here? As a lot of people are saying, Kash Patel cannot come soon enough to take over the agency to really start to look into what's really going on here, as the FBI not only has a bad track record at missing some of these events, but they have a track record of literally aiding and abetting them. As there are multiple incidences now where a lot of people were egged on, were pushed, were manipulated. A lot of people who were also mentally ill were also taken advantage of, even according to one particular family that had a disabled son that literally had to sue the FBI because they said, my son didn't have any friends, but he had an FBI agent friend that was literally trying to goat them into doing all these mass terrorist attacks that the FBI then took credit in foiling when they were the ones that were organizing it from the very beginning. So with the FBI having that kind of track record here, I'm suspicious about everything I hear about this particular story, as the FBI just a couple hours ago announced that the New Orleans attack had, quote, acted alone. Now, that was not what people originally thought, as police officers were literally looking around the area for other explosive devices, as we're finding out that the Airbnb that this guy was in also had explosive device materials within it, and there were reports of explosive devices inside of that electric vehicle that he used to specifically ram into unsuspecting local populations in New Orleans. So, obviously, a lot to unpack here, but do you guys share my skepticism, or do you think I'm just being a little bit too skeptical? What do you guys think?
I just want to say I take offense because the FBI is not the only one. You leave out the Secret Service, and you remember the DEI hires that were supposed to be protecting Trump and couldn't even put their gun away. Like, I mean, come on, Luke. Clearly, it's government. Why are we picking up the FBI alone when they're all
because
crap?
The Federal Bureau of Investigations, they're supposed to be the federal police officers that are supposed to look and investigate into these particular matters. They're the front lines, along with local law enforcement, but they're the federal agency that has been gifted and granted so many rights, so many privileges, a huge unlimited budget. and they keep failing us every step of the way here. Secret Service protects, the president and other high-level ranking government officials. So, of course, they didn't have anything to do with New Orleans. But when it comes to truly missing a lot of the larger warning signs here, there was a lot. This guy went missing. This guy was erratic. He was away from his family, and he was obviously privy to a lot of kind of propaganda from the Islamic State, from ISIS, that, of course, also our tax dollars paid for, propped up, and gave all the money to inside of Syria in order to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. And now they have a safe haven and a state where they could actually do whatever the hell they want. So.
No, I like pushing back, but no, I agree with you. This is absolutely ridiculous that, they seem to fail over and over and over again. And yet we will continue to give them as much tax dollars as they want because that's what government does. But what do you guys think?
I think it's by design, absolutely by design. There's no question in my mind that they're doing it as a plan,
Yeah.
I think if we look into it, I'm doing a piece right now on. I agree with you. Long story
Microphone.
short. Sorry,
Make love to the microphone.
I agree with you. I gotta look ahead. I agree with you. Long story short, that this isn't just about the FBI, or the problem we're going to find isn't unique to the FBI. I'm doing a story about the U.S. Armed Forces right now. There was a terrible crash that took place a year ago. January 4th, 2024. I got turned on to it by a source from inside the Armed Forces. And when you look at the causes of it, when you go into the report on the crash, which is really damning, when you connect it to other stuff, you see that the problem, it's DEI, yes, but it's bureaucracy. And this is a 25-year creep in the armed forces, in the FBI. Because if you look at, I would guess that if you looked at a lot of the things they didn't see and why they didn't see them on this thing in New Orleans, you're going to find similarities to 9/11. Because, there was a lot of bureaucratic wrangling where people who were actually trying to get things done before 9/11 to prevent terrorist attacks weren't getting anything done because of the bureaucracy. And I think to me, that's the big, every person who's writing a story wants to apply it to everything they're seeing. But to me, that really is the story here.
So it's like adding insult to injury. It's the DEI, but it's also the incompetence, but it's also the bureaucracy, but it's also government.
Well, but the bureaucracy is the bottom. It's like to me, the bureaucracy is what starts it, and then everything gets layered on top of it because the government just wants to spend more money.
Yeah, if you fix it, there's no more money.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no point in
no
fixing
incentive to
yeah,
fixing
there's
problems.
absolutely no point in fixing this thing. It works just fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the more damage, the more the budget.
Cash Patel, Pete Hegseth, I think that Tulsi Gabbard, the importance of these people is they've actually served in serious roles, on the ground. And they're going to come in and they're going to hopefully give these agencies back to actual agents, to soldiers. Because I think what you're seeing is bureaucrats effing up the ability of people to actually do the investigative work that they need.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's kind of deliberate actions that are made by the government that specifically make sure that a lot of these actions are carried out. As of course, if you look at the story of 9/11, you should look at the story of Michael Springman, who is a whistleblower that I personally knew, that I personally interviewed, that literally worked at the consulate in Saudi Arabia, and he was specifically denying a lot of these 9/11 hijackers visas to enter the United States until, of course, the CIA came in and they said, no. You're going to allow these guys in, and we're going to make sure you're going to allow these guys in, even though you're saying no, they're jihad, that they're jihadis, and they're likely to commit terrorism here. So when you look at that specific story, I think it's a very eye-opening story to just how the government participated in a larger event that I think they used bureaucracy as a cover-up way to hide their tracks and their larger involvement in all of this. Michael Springman is the man. He was on this channel before. If you look up Michael Springman on YouTube and We Are Change, YouTube will do everything in its power to make sure that you can't find that. But if you're lucky, you might just find it, as our interviews with him were very important. James Corbett also did a very important interview with him, and he was an official whistleblower from within the government that came out and said, yeah, I tried to stop these guys. I did stop these guys, and then I was usurped by the Central Intelligence Agency that intervened here and made sure that these guys were allowed to enter the United States. And then these were the guys that were flying the planes into the buildings and creating massive amounts of terrorism on New York City, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. As, of course, just in the making of this video, as in the making of this live show, I'm always looking at Twitter. I'm always looking at the latest kind of events that are unfolding here, as it looks like we have a report coming in right now of more visible smoke over the French Quarter in New Orleans right now as we're speaking. Now, we don't know exactly what this is related to. We don't know if this is an accident or something correlated to the larger events that are already unfolded there, as Senator Kennedy actually made an announcement on national television when he was being interviewed, and he wouldn't directly kind of answer the question if the United States is safe here, if there's going to be more attacks here. He said specifically, this is something that I cannot answer at this specific time, kind of hinting a little bit with his answer that, yeah, there might be other things at foot here, other things at play here. And I think with the way that all of this has started at the beginning of 2025, I think this is just the beginning of other things to come here that will create more chaos, more disorder, as this is the perfect kind of psychological psyop right now that is absolutely just dominating the conversation, dominating the political discourse. And I think we're seeing the rumblings of something big to come. That's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys share my kind of doomsday black pill here, but with the way that things have been going, these larger disruptive events, I think, are only going to be more common.
That's what gave us 9/11 is what gave us the Patriot Act. So if they can pull off something that's bigger and more widespread than 9/11, where it happens in multiple cities, multiple states, whatever, and they can all correlate it together and say, look, it was a unified program. And of course they use the internet. So we're going to have to shut the internet down. We're going to have to, make you be afraid of the internet. And it'll bring in some new policies that make the Patriot Act look, warm and cushy.
Oh my God, you just freaked me out.
Why?
No, because you're right. And this is exactly what happens. It's always, it's like a pattern, right? So first there's this horrible disaster, this horrible thing.
We
and then
shoot a bunch of people, then we make the guns illegal.
Right. Like it's always, it's always the
That's
same way.
how it works.
Yeah, no, you're right. And so, 9/11 was what brought in the Patriot Act, like you said. And so now we have the TSA, shake down everything.
We just opened the border and brought all these people in. And there are people at the border that are saying, you're going to know who I am. You're going to see who I am, that are on a list. And they just walk right in and say that as boldly as possible. And they're all over the country. What could you do all over the country with the stuff we can buy? I mean, how much ammonium nitrate went missing in a train car out of California, a year ago?
Oh, boy.
What could you
2025 is off to a bang, huh?
Oh, man.
January 20th can't come fast enough. And then who knows if that'll... I mean, I know I'm saying it next to now a MAGA person, so maybe you're like...
Go, MAGA!
Yeah, raw MAGA. But, I hope that Donald Trump is for real. I still hold my maybe. But let's hope and hope and pray that things will change.
Yeah, this story is from May 2023, specifically with 30 tons of explosive chemicals that were lost during a rail shipment. Ready to go.
Only ammonium nitrate. No big deal here.
How do you lose a shipment off of a train? It's going on a track.
You have the CIA with a budget. They go pick it up.
Wow. I mean, that's wild. It's like... How do you, you can't lose something off of an airplane. You can't lose something off of a train.
You know how much ammonium nitrate was in the FBI building, the Murrow building, where it devastated, it wiped the whole front of the building off from the roof to the foundation?
How much?
Oh, a little truck, a van.
Wow. And
we're talking a train car's missing.
Wow.
Wow.
That is scary. Well, it hasn't turned up yet, so let's hope.
Oh, but it will.
Oh, dear God, Liza, you're not helping me here. I'm like, well, maybe.
And then the FBI...
Can they use it for something else? Like, is there other uses for this? Like maybe fertilizer? I don't know.
Yeah, and the FBI is going to have them on their radar, and they're going to have some new rule for why we can't have something. This is why we can't have nice things.
This is literally why we can't have nice things. You're right.
I mean,
I wonder what those drones are all about.
Well, those drones kind of went away as soon as Donald Trump and Elon Musk started to promote the H-1B visas, which, could potentially be correlated, even though there's no evidence of that. I'm just kind of speculating here as, I think it's fair to say that the news cycle is absolutely crazy, and it's only going to get crazier from here, as Ashley St. Clair just tweeted this. As she is confused which button to push, whether she should push the defend Tesla for media spears about Las Vegas or to stay mad about him about the H-1B visa program. As a lot of local authorities and a lot of influencers are saying it was because of the very tough Cybertruck build why so many people's lives were saved saved during the Las Vegas incident that had a major explosion just go off right in front of Trump Tower. As of course, it does look like there are some correlations between this and what happened specifically in New Orleans, as the question of what happened here is a little bit more suspicious here in my books, as we're finding out that this guy was a military man. He was a family man as well. He disappeared from them for a few days, and then he had some kind of detonation device that allowed him to, of course, explode this Cybertruck in front of Trump Towers after he allegedly took his own life with the 50 AE. Now, this is a very kind of convoluted, very kind of crazy story, as a lot of details are kind of coming in. A lot of people are extrapolating those particular details. But my questions are, how can someone who is pretty much a successful person do this? How can he just kind of run away? Why would he do this? And how was he able to get his hands on detonation devices without, of course, setting off a lot of triggers and warnings from the intel agencies that are usually paying close attention to a lot of these particular things? Those are my questions about this event.
I can tell you why. Because you can make a detonation device out of something I could find in your kitchen. I mean, you can.
I mean, Liza can. I don't know that I could, but
Yeah.
Liza definitely can.
I was going to say there's detonation devices wide and vast.
You just need to have knowledge, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, but Googling it, how do I blow something up?
No,
is
and then what's
probably not the sharpest thing you can
Right.
do.
Don't Google it if you don't. Well, I guess the DEI, FBI now doesn't really care. But before, you shouldn't have Googled that. Now,
Yeah.
I guess it's just no big deal.
If you misgender someone, they care, but if you're doing
Oh.
that, they don't care at all.
Hell hath no fury like being misgendered.
Oh, dear.
they're gonna rappel down the building, with the SWAT team to come get you.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's good that he that he used a Cybertruck and that they did.
Yeah,
it
I
did
was like,
save
what
other
a,
people.
what a dumb thing to do. The whole back of the Cybertruck where he filled the bed is made out of composite, so it acted like a cork.
Yeah.
It just blew it straight up. It was like
7 people
dirt.
were injured during the Las Vegas incident, and luckily no one lost their lives that was a victim there, but it definitely does seem like the Cybertruck that is built very tough. A lot of people online are saying, oh, you're just kissing Elon's butt
Nope,
here.
it really is.
There's a reason.
Listen, if that would have been a regular
Yeah.
truck, if that would have been
Yep.
like Timothy McVeigh and he shows up with a U-Haul, that would have been an actual
Yeah,
horrible scenario with. I mean, there's a picture of there was a man right by the truck when this thing went off, and he didn't die. Like, this saved people's lives. Having that Tesla truck, having him choose a Tesla truck, I think saved people's lives. He didn't realize it because he's an idiot, but nonetheless,
He was probably just wanting to make a statement, Trump, Elon.
yeah, exactly. Because the
Dur, dur, dur,
photos,
dur.
before, the first thing I saw was the Cybertruck in front of the Trump Towers, and I was like, I thought the car had exploded, as in electric vehicles explode. And I was like, oh, that's really
That's
bad.
just Chevys.
Yeah, I thought it was really bad, but then the fact that this thing saved people's lives, I think
the Cybertruck is built different. That's why people literally take shots at it
Yeah,
and post the videos on YouTube saying, look, it's bulletproof.
It's stainless.
Which,
It's like 1/8 inch.
saved a lot of people's lives, even though the corporate media now overwhelmingly is saying that the Tesla Cybertruck just caught fire. That's their latest line that they're
You're
kind of
kidding me,
running
right?
with here. But there's a number of media outlets now, including the New York Times and many others, that are just saying, no, just Tesla, went on fire, as that's not what happened here. As the people on Twitter are actually paying attention to what's happening here, they're paying very close, they're paying very close attention to all the little details that are unfolding here, including the fact that now this guy has been identified because he had a military ID and a passport that was found in the vehicle that identified him, because his body was burned beyond recognition that prevented authorities from being
How
able to
did his
identify
body
him.
burn and not the paperwork?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the 9/11 with the passport on the ground. Oh, we found the passport. What? That
Yeah.
makes no sense.
There's a lot of weird things. Here's the clip from the Las Vegas Police Department that did a press conference about this.
Vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle. Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence, to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body. That has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport.
He just showed up with all his stuff, huh? He just
How
showed up.
convenient.
Very convenient. Did he leave the manifesto in the car too, or is that something that whoops, he
We
forgot
find
that
it
little piece?
later.
And no one could reproduce a tattoo, of course.
Clearly. So yeah, this story is just going to be just as interesting as all the other ones, I guess.
And I think, I mean, I'm apparently representing the perspective of MAGA, sort of here. I think
Permanently.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I think it points to a problem for the movement because, on one hand, the Democrats have effed things up so incredibly, and the media is obviously manipulating the Trump-Musk divide in order to do mischief and misrepresenting what Tesla is. I mean, this is all pretty obvious. And people are coming across our border, and Biden is dismantling the wall. And I mean, all of
Biden isn't
these.
doing anything.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't know what he had for breakfast.
Exactly. Biden. No. But so there are all these sort of very immediate, bad stuff. I'm trying not to cuss as much. Bad stuff that's getting shoveled our way. But on the other hand, there's this whole separate argument with Vivek and Elon, and it's. We need to change this society. We need to use populism in Trump to really reform things. But what's that going to look like? Is it going to benefit, high-skilled immigrants? Is it going to benefit working-class Americans? Can it do both? And I think a big challenge will be what Ashley St. Clair said. How do I keep my eye on one enemy while also recognizing that there's a major disagreement within this victorious movement right now, and that disagreement is not going to go away. I mean. To me, Vivek and Elon fired sort of the first shot.
Yeah.
They didn't say this is a discrete issue. We should just decide on this issue. They said we need to change our priorities as a society. We need to value the nerd more than, the person who watches Friends. This was a clarion call for like the kind of America tech elites want to make.
Yeah. And now there's also larger questions about the censorship and algorithm changes that have been made as well. So that we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Nick Sorter also has some questions about this particular event, as he says firearms don't burn easily, but I guess anything is, quote, possible here, as he responded to, of course, the larger kind of news of this kind of video, of this press release, as my conspiracy mind automatically goes to just trying to see all the larger hypotheticals here, specifically with this being an autonomous cyber truck that could drive itself, specifically with the larger possibility of other people potentially being involved here. Again, this is me just totally speculating, but
Wow,
hey,
that's awesome.
if you're into conspiracies, you're automatically thinking what could have actually kind of happened here that could have been an alternative explanation here, as there's a possibility of this guy being a patsy. He just gets popped, they throw him in the back of this car, they self-drive this car up to Trump Tower, and then they remote detonate these kind of explosives. That's also an alternative theory that absolutely has no evidence, just has me kind of speculating about the larger possibilities.
I had been thinking of the same thing, because why would you, if you have a car filled with explosives that's going to, and you're going to, off yourself, why would you first off yourself and then I agree with you. To me,
that puzzled me as well.
Yeah, that was like a ding, 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 ding. Something, it just isn't right. But I'm glad that lead conspiracy theorist over here agrees with me, because then I feel like we're probably on the right track with just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that take it too far, and there's like conclusive evidence. We know for sure this guy's a patsy. I'm like, we don't know that was the case here. We don't have
But
any
if I
evidence
had
of
to
that.
bet,
They taught us with Oswald a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to bet who, if he's a pansy or not, I probably.
But I think it's worth speculating. I think it's worth thinking about as defriends or memes. I think created the best kind of meme video surrounding the current situation, as this is what he just posted. specifically responding to the larger kind of passport and military identification that was found on the body that can't be identified because it's too burnt. That's what some people say. And again, that could be the actual story, right? That
you
could
don't
be
know.
the truth here. And there's a
Passports-
probability of it being true.
Passports could be made out of super materials, Luke. I mean, you don't know this.
No.
It survived an airplane crash at the Twin Towers. It may survive a Tesla attack. I'm just saying, we can't rule it out entirely.
No, if you were sitting on it and it was in your pocket, the meat of your body that's not crispy yet would shield it. So,
Oh, boy.
But to what Luke said about having them do the self-driving and all that, that's actually brilliant to set it all up like that. And anybody that would be smart enough to orchestrate something that well, they would not have picked a Cybertruck knowing that it wasn't going to explode
But
properly.
wouldn't Elon Musk be able to go and tell everybody
Yeah,
that
they-
this had actually
Yes.
done a self-drive?
Yes, they actually have all of that information.
And they have cameras within
Yeah,
the
the car.
Tesla that actually, report back
Right.
on what people are doing, and that's how
So
they're
if we
able to
don't
stop
know-
people from self-driving and not actually paying attention to what's
Exactly.
going on.
Your car gives you a telemetry reading. If you put in self-drive and you are not looking out,
Don't you
it'll
have
give
to
you a-
have a one hand on the steering wheel?
Yeah, you
Yes,
get the
but it-
magnet thing that Luke's got.
Hey,
Hey, Liza, Liza. That's not for fun. Anyways, no, I recently just downloaded the auto steer on my car and I looked at my phone and it gave me a warning. And it's like, by the way, 3 more and you don't get to have this auto steer anymore. So definitely the car is looking at you. It has cameras inside. And all of that information is transmitted to. I know. Tell me about it.
Big Daddy.
I'm like a minute away from just going
I
and
take
buying an old
everything
car.
back I said about Elon Musk. He's a great guy.
He's wonderful. I am looking to buy an
Just got out
older
of a
vehicle.
Tesla. We're fine.
One of the first things I did in mine was drop the headliner down and go for the microphone and put a switch on it. So
Can you
I
take
just
care of
turn
my
mic
car for
off.
me, please? Liza, I would like for you to take care of my Tesla for me, please.
I can make it so that it can't see and hear anymore.
Oh
and you
my
can
God,
just
you're
turn
my
it back
best
on.
friend. Please, let's go.
Anyway, we could post a picture of me driving and just paying attention in front of the camera, so the camera picks up just me.
Yeah,
driving.
you actually could. Yeah.
And it flickers kind of so it looks like it's real. Like
Yeah.
it has like a little animation.
But what I was going to say is all this information Tesla has. And so it would be surprising if we get this information released, but everything should be available and they should be able to pin this, figure this out really quickly.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the explosion as well, and the damage that was done internally. As of course, cameras also break during huge explosions as well. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of data and if that data will be made public to everyone out there. Because I have a lot of questions, and I think it's more important than ever to be skeptical of what.
Yeah,
we're
but that
being
car
told
was
here.
uploading to the cloud, Luke. Like if it was used self-drive, they have all of that information in real time. So even if the camera was destroyed, that car is uploading constantly.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter what happened to the camera as long
Yeah.
as the feed was good.
As long as Tesla received the feed from the camera.
I
and
mean, what's the point of any of that anyways? Like, wouldn't this be the one circumstance where that's why the camera is there?
Exactly. Well, which is why we should know exactly. Did he drive himself? And also, did nobody hear him shoot that gun inside the Tesla right before he, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of doesn't make sense. So I would love to know from Elon or from Tesla at some point
Yeah,
how this happened.
especially with a 50 AE, and there's videos of the guy just being kind of next to the truck. So 50 AE is a very serious firearm. It's one of the biggest pistol rounds that you could actually have, and it's a weapon that I personally have as well. It's a huge firearm. It's a huge weapon that makes a big blast that you would think people would kind of hear kind of go off. So
Yeah, they should have been able to hear it. So I mean, nothing makes sense.
So long as you got shot there.
Right, which is why what we're saying, it doesn't make sense. Somebody would have heard that gunshot.
Well,
and then-
silencers are a
Yeah,
thing.
but besides that type of round would have whistled right through that.
yeah,
vehicle.
not on a 50 AE. I haven't seen a silenced 50 AE ever.
You're just
It'd
not
be
privy
like a
to
beer
that
keg.
tech. You're just not privy
I
to
could
that
make one
tech.
if you want one, though.
Make
Liza,
anything. Can you?
yeah, she
Yeah,
can.
unbelievable.
She can. But also, Liza, no, you can't. No, you can't. We would very much like to not have a knock on our door. Thank you very much.
I would find the legal means, and it would
Eliza's trying to get me in jail.
No. There are legal
thanks.
ways to do
the
everything.
ATF now has been sent this video. So thanks, Liza. Appreciate that. As a lot of other people have questions about Joe Biden, specifically with his kind of larger maneuvers and declarations that he's making recently, as a lot of people are kind of pissed off at him for wishing everyone a happy new year right after the New Orleans terror attack, saying that it was a little bit out of touch here. But that's not the only thing that Joe Biden is up to, as we're getting new reporting from Axios that the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has actually presented Joe Biden with options and plans to launch preemptive military airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Yes, you heard that correctly. There's a proposal on the desk of this senile, old, crazy old man that would essentially start a larger war with Iran right before January 20th, as this is a pretty concerning story, and a story that is kind of probable here, especially with just how ever so aggressive Joe Biden has been. It's almost as if he was kind of awakened as soon as Donald Trump won, and then he started to be very aggressive with a lot of his larger political maneuvers, with a lot of his pardons, and now a very aggressive maneuver that could potentially happen soon in Iran that would be disastrous internationally and would give Donald Trump a huge geopolitical foreign policy mess that would absolutely devastate the energy sector, that would stop and probably prevent a lot of diplomacy, and would put his presidency in a very kind of peculiar position that I wouldn't want to personally be in myself. But these are the plans that they're talking about right now. Extreme plans from a lame duck president that people overwhelmingly voted against and said, we don't want you in charge anymore. And it looks like a lot of people are saying online, he's trying to go out with a bang.
Literally.
So, yeah.
Literally going out with a bang. Can somebody take the keys away from this man already? Like, seriously. But we all know that it's not him, that this is the deep state going and preparing for making Donald Trump's presidency as hard as humanly possible. I don't think that that's like a conspiracy theory anymore. I think that that's like kind of, they've shown it.
I think they want to limit his options in as many ways as possible.
Yeah.
And this is one. If you ramp up war talk, you plausibly limit his options for accomplishing some sort of marginal peace, calming the region down. I mean, they're doing this with the deficit. Suddenly, Democrats care about the deficit. They don't care about the deficit. They don't want Trump to put his plans into motion. I mean,
And don't forget, let's add a virus.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
add a virus and stir.
Wow. Yeah, 2025 is really getting off to a bang.
You know what's really scary about this new bug is, what if it really is a new bug? And the theory of their long game is none of the people that are critical thinking would take a vaccine again. So now only the sheep would still get it. So you could call the herd, so to speak.
Well, we got to save this topic for
the
another
other
segment.
yeah, we gotta
Liza, 'cause
wait.
there's a lot of things I want to say about that specific subject. We talked about it last time with Gary Franchi a little bit, and I thought his take on it was pretty good as well during our last podcast episode. But yeah, I mean, the situation with Iran has been brewing for a very long time. And if Donald Trump wants to be a peace president, he's going to have a very big uphill battle in trying to achieve that, especially with the larger kind of messes that the U.S. intelligentsia and deep state are creating for him in places like Syria right now. Will they create a bigger mess now with Iran? Now the question is, will the government kind of push the button and launch these larger strikes? What do you guys think? Will Biden actually do this, or is this just someone kind of leaking the story in order to prevent it from happening, or are there other kind of things happening behind the scenes here?
First of all, it's Biden with, yeah, sure. Do I think it's going to happen? Unfortunately, I think it's a yes. It's going to be the deep state making this worse. Yeah.
I think, and this goes to my general view, which I guess will become a theme of bureaucrats. I don't think they operate by going to a 10. I think they operate by going to a 7. I think they want to inch in.
They all have kids.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They do have kids, and nuclear war could be really bad.
You can only go so far, and then you wreck the whole ball game.
Well, I think that's perfectly put. I wish I could, more people would read my stuff if I had pith. That's right.
You need
go
Eliza
too
in your
far.
life.
Yeah, that's right. We all do.
Yeah.
Clearly. No, I think you go too far, you wreck the ball game, and I think what they want to do is limit Trump's options by attrition. So
Yeah, they
you
buy
do
off
it
the
enough.
umpire.
Exactly. I mean, because they don't want it on their hands, and they want to be able to blame it on him. And if you go too far, you can't blame it on him.
And their kids have to have a place to play and grow up.
Yeah, exactly. I
know,
mean,
or their
the
grandkids.
suburbs of Northern Virginia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
where the bunkers
you
are.
can't totally destroy it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you can certainly screw it up.
Yeah, no, this will be death by. I mean, for a while I did reporting on the Supreme Court, and since basically Amy Coney Barrett, the last conservative justice, got in, the media and there are specific players have just been. They've been attacking, and what's interesting to me is the way they attack. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's a little leak here, a little leak there, a damaging story here, a damaging story there, and it just accrues. And so I think that's going to be their strategy.
That's
I don't think
always
anybody
been,
will go to
That's
push
always
the
been the
button.
strategy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's going to be, well, we had to retaliate. Like they're going to do something, they're going to ramp it up. And then it's like, well, of course we have to do something. We can't not do. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's not going to be a 10 off the bat, not from this. But they're pushing in this news story out there. It's like, oh, Biden, he's going to start something and then something else happens and it escalates. And then Trump has to do something about it when he gets in office.
Yeah, this is not a good situation for Donald Trump. It's going to be very complicated, very difficult for him to kind of put the genie back in the bottle and try to undo a lot of these very kind of awful foreign policy decisions. Now, again, Trump doesn't have the best track record with Iran, as a lot of people are also kind of speculating that there might be some kind of larger rumblings of a bigger conflict with him, even as president of the United States. But I think his track record speaks for itself. He was able to, of course, defeat larger elements of ISIS within Syria. He focused on that rather than aiding and abetting them, which the intelligence agencies wanted to do and have been doing previously beforehand. And he doesn't want to start new wars. He wants his legacy to be that he stopped the wars. So I think the likelihood of him kind of launching and starting a new war with Iran is rare, and this could be the larger kind of intelligentsia. This is not Joe Biden. This is not the old guy here calling the shots here. This is something else bigger beyond him, that there's going to be a larger internal battle between Trump and this larger force that is going to want this war, that has been wanting this war for over 25 plus years. Ever since 2001, we specifically have great reporting from General Wesley Clark that detailed how Iran is on the list of the countries that the United States wants to invade, overthrow, and bomb the crap out of. It's still one of the countries that hasn't yet been bombed by the United States, and it's been bombed by Israel. And again, that situation, very complicated one, and I think this could be a way to preemptively start something that Donald Trump will have to act tough on when he becomes the next president of the United States, therefore kind of entrapping him and pushing him towards more of a larger conflict here.
And they may try to entrap him. I mean, this didn't occur to me until we were talking, and I'm a journalist.
Bite your tongue.
I can only look at facts on a paper, and then I'm comfortable. So I'm scared of speculation, but when I think about past history, I mean, say the Bay of Pigs, I mean, that was a disastrous mission wrapped around John F. Kennedy's, who was handled it horribly, but it started under Eisenhower with the CIA, and then the CIA imported it to Kennedy. And it was a difficult mission to make work. And I think we could see something similar. I mean, if we're talking, I don't think with Iran it'll look like nuclear war. I think it'll look like doing some sort of covert mission that they already get underway, with a small number of people who penetrate into Iran to do something. I mean, say Marines, say something else. The kind of mission that's hard to stop internally during the transition period. I could see that as like a very specific. I'm not saying
I was
that'll happen.
worried, and then you started speaking.
Yeah,
and
no,
now
I know,
I'm like,
I
oh my
know.
God. Okay. Well, anyways.
Well, no, it scared the hell out of me.
Happy 2025, y'all. It's only going to get better from here, I'm sure. Or not, whatever.
Well, I've done my work. My work here is done. See, Luke put this in my head. I hate speculation.
Well, it's worth speculating because everything else we're getting from the corporate media is usually crap, and the only way to really kind of unravel everything is to kind of think about it from a deeper, kind of larger perspective and analyze all the larger kind of hypotheses here of what could actually be going on, since we know the authorities are usually filled with lies and propaganda and psyops that they routinely run against you. As that's not the only thing Biden is planning on doing, as of course he is also planning to set up a decree that would permanently ban new offshore oil and gas developments inside of the United States. This would be a major kind of move that would cripple kind of Trump's larger plans of energy independence. Now you add that to the fact of potentially a larger conflict with Iran, which is a major energy producer on the world stage. You get rid of energy from that particular country, you disrupt it, and now you prevent the United States from being able to, of course, create their own energy. This is setting up America for failure, nothing else here.
It's incredible. It's like they set the airplane on fire and everybody jumped out with parachutes and said, have a nice day.
Yeah, I mean, 3 weeks. He has 3 weeks left in office, and he's making all of these kind of grand decisions and moves. This is a big one, as the United States could be energy independent. It was energy independent for a little bit, and why are we preventing us from being able to do that? Why are we prevented from, of course, having cheap, readily available energy? That's a question that I think
because they hate
a lot
us.
of people should
Yeah,
be asking.
you know what Trump should do? He should do a big campaign real fast on how he hates drilling and that we need to stop drilling at all costs so that Biden can't go with it.
I mean, yes, that probably would work.
Right.
Also, can we just go nuclear, please?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Why do we have to keep playing this game? Nuclear is clearly better, but whatever.
The nuclear freaks me out so much.
Yeah, well, you live close to a nuclear power plant. I don't know if, yes, Miami has Turkey Point.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know, and most people don't. Miami's had Turkey Point since the 1960s.
See, you got back at me. Oh,
Listen.
I was happy 5 minutes ago.
Listen,
I was thinking that was
Miami-Dade
Iran.
County has functioned on nuclear power since I think the late 60s, early 70s, and not if you go visit it, which listen, set it up, I'll come with you. Let's go visit Turkey Point. It is crystal clear water around it. It is actually very well maintained, and it is why our electricity is actually relatively cheap and why we have a lot of it. We're not like California. We're not running out of electricity. We've got a lot, an abundant amount of it.
Yeah. Steph, we have some super chats. Can you read them off really quick?
Cain Abel says Biden is not making any kind of decisions. This is all his staff. Biden spent how much on vacation during his 4 years?
Over, I think, close to 500 days.
Over 500, I think you
Yeah.
said last time. It was like a fourth of his presidency was.
Yeah,
Was
just on vacation. As
Yep.
of course, he's the perfect puppet president that literally allows the special interest groups and lobbyists to do whatever they want. And yeah, good point, Cain Abel. Absolutely agree with you. It's not just his staff; it's the people that are there, even when he wasn't there. It's the kind of deep-rooted bureaucracy. It's all of the individuals that never ever get fired. People in the chat are saying 570 days throughout his presidency. He
Well,
was on
thank you for
vacation, so.
clearing that up for us. 570 days. It's 70 days more than what we were saying.
The American people are counting.
Can you imagine 70 days of vacation in like a 4-year time, let alone 570? Like, what? Damn, that's the
Sounds
best job.
good.
I know. And you get paid 400 and something a year. What?
And you can sniff all the kids you want.
Oh my God. And your son can bring cocaine into the White House and nobody cares.
No, that was Kamala's.
Oh, damn. Shots fired.
That was definitely hers.
You think? I mean,
yeah.
she's a boozy lady. I didn't have her for a cocaine type of person, but you know what? It makes sense.
Maybe they were sharing it.
Nah. You know Hunter's got a source direct from either Colombia or Peru or whatever. You know this guy's got some, like... Yeah, anyways. Off topic.
Read the next super chat.
We have Andrew Lepensi saying YouTube 3 to T3 angled 33 degrees. It's some sort of cryptic QAnon message that I am not sure if
Are you
I'm
sure it's
deciphering.
Are you sure it's Q?
I don't know. It's Andrew Lepensi.
Who's Andrew Lepensi?
He's the super chatter.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you knew something about here. I don't know what that means. If anyone wants to
33
make an
degree
understanding of
Mason,
that.
Freemasonry.
Feel free to make your hypotheses about what that super chatter actually meant here. As let's continue on with Biden, as he also just awarded the Presidential Citizen Medal to Liz Cheney.
Are you kidding
and
me?
Beanie Thompson, who led the J6 Select Committee. As the more kind of likelihood scenario of what will be unfolding here is that these people probably will also be getting preemptive pardons that will prevent them from ever being held accountable for their larger actions against fellow Americans that were thrown in jail for, getting a unscheduled tour of the U.S. Capitol, as a lot of people are talking about potential charges for these two, larger investigations into what they were doing, as, of course, even CBS News is talking about specifically Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney, and Dr. Fauci getting pardons so they cannot be held accountable for their larger egregious actions that they committed against the American people and, of course, our rule of law. Not surprising. We kind of called this out from the very beginning. We called this out especially with the Hunter Biden pardon, just being the very beginning of a lot of these other pardons. But truly, to give these people an award, to put them in the spotlight now even more, does highlight that the probability of these pardons are probably going to be coming very soon. What do you guys think?
I don't know about those other people, but if Fauci gets a pardon, I think the country needs to really, really, step up their game and do something about it. I can't imagine this man, because the stuff that he did in 2020, we can't mention, was bad. But he has been a bad actor for a very long time. And a lot of people did not know about what he did with the AIDS epidemic earlier. I think only really specifically that community was aware.
And they're all gone because of his actions.
And they're gone. And he got a lot of people offed because of his actions. So a lot of people weren't there to sound the alarm. But a lot of people lived through 2020. And I think that if Fauci gets a pardon, a preemptive pardon for all of his stuff, y'all, I don't know what to tell you. If America doesn't rise up after that, I think we have lost as a country.
Yeah, I think Biden has kind of given up on his legacy. The corporate media still tries to kind of cheerlead for him in a very unsuccessful way. We have this very interesting segment from CNN that had to end their segment after trying to defend some of the larger crimes that were committed by Joe Biden. Here's the clip that I thought was very interesting.
I am still waiting.
Speculative?
After 4 years of Donald Trump.
Did money not change hands?
Scott.
Did it not?
4 years of Donald Trump, 4 years of a Joe Biden DOJ looking into these very things. I'm still waiting to see.
Well, he can't be charged. He's the president.
Right? I'm
Joe
still
Biden
waiting.
can't be charged.
I'm not talking about charges. I'm still
I will
waiting to
just
see
tell
the
you.
proof of Joe Biden enriching himself. I take his brother and his son, perhaps.
I'll give you
but that
I'll
is,
give
I
you
think that
the
has yet to
direct
materialize.
line.
Otherwise,
I'll give you the
your
direct
colleague,
line.
James Comer, could have produced the evidence, and he didn't.
He did. A Chinese company transferred money to a shell company owned by Hunter and Jim Biden that then transferred money directly to Jim and Sarah Biden's shell company that then transferred the money to Jim and Sarah's personal account, who then immediately wrote a check for $40,000 to Joe Biden. So to say that there was no evidence, to say there was no evidence is not true. It's not true.
What I'm saying is that Trump was president for 4 years. He wanted to charge Joe Biden. Why did the charges not come? And I think that still remains an open question. If there is something illegal happening here, there should be charges on the basis of what you're saying, and there have not been.
Well, he just pardoned Hunter
that is
for an 11-year time
He pardoned Hunter Biden.
An 11-year time
He
period.
just wiped the slate.
Hang on, guys. Hang on, guys.
Jim will be next, by the way.
We're waiting for the charges, and when the charges come, we'll have a conversation about that. I promise you that. Solomon Jones, thank you very much for joining us. Everyone else, hang tight. Coming up next.
Will the charges come? That's the larger question here, as even CNN is kind of pointing out the larger truth here, which they never, ever do. But it's becoming too obvious, I think, to the average American that these politicians don't give a damn about you. They don't care about their reputation. They used to. It used to be that there was some kind of decorum. It used to be that they would at least try to save face, at least try to cover up their tracks here. But Biden, just with how blatantly he pardoned Hunter Biden just a few weeks ago, I think highlights a kind of larger turning point here that is a very dangerous one, as a lot of people still kind of question if there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power here. I hope there is, but with the way that things are going, man, this is a completely lunatic, crazy old man, old Yeller Biden, I think, just kind of going for broke here, and he's not left with many options. But a lot of people expect some criminal charges here. Will there actually be some criminal charges? What do you guys think?
I don't expect very many, to be honest. I think George Carlin sums it up. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. So I think that I want to believe that there is justice in this world. I want to believe that there's somebody that cares about we, the people. But all evidence points to the contrary in my mind. What do you guys think? Somebody? Did
We're all looking at each other. We're all in
I mean,
we're all in
think we
agreement.
more or less agree. My only contribution here is I think the unseemliness that you're talking about, Luke, the lack of decorum, has a lot to do with China. I mean, the last 30 years, we've never seen U.S. politicians, I think I can say this, whore themselves out like they have to the CCP. I mean, even if you don't want to say that...
Clean up the city before he arrives?
No, I
really,
mean,
bro?
well, I mean, even if you don't want to say that, Hunter Biden did something illegal, which he clearly did. I mean, the evidence is there. But I mean,
You mean the whole laptop of evidence that everybody was like, no, that's not his.
But even take that aside for a second. He was representing, I mean, I've done work on this. He was representing real estate firms connected to the CCP, helping them legally buy land. And he can't be prosecuted for that because that, until recently in some states, was legal. But I mean, the degree to which people, I mean, Hunter Biden is the tip of the spear. Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, I mean, all of these huge Democrats from the 90s on are so in bed with China. And I think that to cover that, you're going to see pardons. I think you're going to see all sorts of things that because the narrative is shifted so fast. I mean, 8 years ago, China wasn't our enemy. I mean, it was, but it wasn't.
We weren't allowed to talk about it.
Exactly. And then Trump gets in, and he starts saying it like it is.
With a bullhorn.
Exactly. And now these people are backing off. And so I think the unseemliness is going to continue because they want to erase the evidence of their complicity with the CCP, legal or illegal.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. China, I don't understand why China is our enemy all of a sudden, the way that they've made it out to be.
Well, they steal our tech, they steal our ideas, they spy on us, and
so you mean they act like the
infiltrate
U.S.
a lot
government?
of our kind of learning institutions. Yeah,
It's I have a problem with
they
I have
also
a problem
work-
with anybody infiltrating our stuff and spying on us. So if we're gonna say China's our enemy, well then so is the U.S. government, who's doing the same thing. Like I get the point. I get why people don't like China, and yes.
But face it, they would implode without us. I mean, we are a huge stream of revenue for them. If we disappeared and went off the face of the earth tomorrow,
I'd love to see that happen.
I wonder where their economic, fallout would be.
Yeah,
Well,
but
China's been buying the
we would be
entire
screwed
world.
too,
Yeah.
because a lot
it
of
is-
our
it is a
we're
symbiotic
dependent on the
relationship,
majority
yeah.
of our medications from China. We're dependent
For
on
now.
a lot of our goods from China.
See, MAGA is rising up here. For now, we're dependent on that.
But we are dependent on China. And China has been doing something around the world, which is actually a lot smarter than the U.S. foreign policy. So the United States,
Shocker.
Yeah, the United States forces countries to do what we want. Economic hitman style. We go there and we're like, you have to use our companies to build all these projects. You have to spend this money. The IMF is going to give you this money. Whereas China does it like, we're going to build you a new highway and hospitals and schools. They do things in a way that is smarter than us. We do it by dropping bombs. And so the fact that they're our enemy, we're not looking at ourselves too. The United States does some really awful things around the world. And so I'm not a China apologist in any way, shape, or form. I just think that we should be consistent. If we look at China, we're like, they are horrible people, the Chinese government. I don't mean Chinese people. The same way as I mean the United States government, not the United States people. We need to look at our government and look at what we've been doing too, because both countries are pretty much just as bad as one as the other.
I just see this is the MAGA
Minus
coming.
the killing.
That I completely disagree with. I mean, minus the killing, minus the fact that
I mean, the United States does the killing, is what I meant. We drop the bombs.
We have government-backed corporatism, absolutely, but we don't have. I mean, if you look at the structure of China's economy, I mean, their government will set up companies, and the revenue goes back to the government in very direct ways. I mean,
as opposed to our lobbying, as opposed to how our government props people up and create monopolies.
Yeah,
we're the same. Like I agree. Listen, Chinese government bad. American government bad, Russian government bad, Israeli government bad. Like we can go down the line and be like, government is bad.
But we just elected Donald Trump. I mean, you can't elect Donald Trump in China.
No. Clearly,
I mean, we are
China
a
is worse than
representative
that.
Well, in that sense, China's worse. We're a representative democracy.
However, we only get two options. We only get what the major Republican or Democrats choose for us. We do not have like, oh, I would like somebody else to be president. We don't have that. So yes, we are better, but to a degree.
To like a huge degree,
I would say
in
a
my
huge
view.
degree, especially with how totalitarian and just absolutely Orwellian China is. I mean, China is the playground of the globalist, where they kind of roll out all of their kind of slave tech that they utilize and then beta test to see how effective it is, in partnership with a lot of the globalists and internationalists that also call themselves American individuals, like, of course, Bill Gates. But China is directly involved in a lot of intellectual property rights that are stolen and then utilized and then bootlegged over in China. They steal a lot of our military secrets. They steal a lot of our military tech. And we're set up for this kind of larger insidious trap, whether we like it or not, where China is trying to become the #1 global power. And historically speaking, this usually means that there's a larger clash that is kind of inevitable here and most likely to happen. So it's not that China actually wants this. It's just historically the trends are pretty clear that this is the trajectory that we are on, unless, of course, America actually gets its ish together, stops being bankrupted from within, actually grows, actually builds, actually develops American manufacturing and business, and is able to, of course, outperform and outlast China. That's the only way to avoid World War III calamity of this international conflict that the Chinese are preparing for. The United States, on the other hand, they're sort of not really kind of looking at this as a larger possibility, but China is seeing this as an inevitable probability that they are readying all of their troops for, and that's why they're trying to get control of all these external islands, so the fighting could be done not within the mainland of China.
I think at the end of the day, we're just like looking at which one is worse, right? So yes, both are bad. That just keeps coming back to it. I agree, China is worse, but instead of fighting over which one is worse, I'm just saying both governments are terrible.
But I mean, look at what we've done. I mean, again, there are all kinds of fights within
Mr.
MAGA, but
I know. Listen,
but I'm like,
you went hardcore leftist, and then now you're hardcore MAGA. I gotcha.
Well, but look at like the extraordinary people have worked through their state legislatures to pass these laws banning, purchase of farmland. People elected Donald Trump. I mean, you have these incredible groups, Mom for Liberty, TPUSA. You might not agree with all of them.
No, but I like the people. I'm saying the government is the problem. Yes.
Which is that we have a constitutional structure that lets people do this. We let people, our structure of government lets people push back against arbitrary power.
Yes.
And China just doesn't have that. And to me, it actually is a black and white difference.
I agree with you.
I don't think it's they're bad, we're a little better. I think we're like way better.
Yeah. In China, if you question the state, they send you off into the gulags. Here, if you question the state, they'll just rendition you and treat you like Julian Assange.
Yeah, they'll just throw things onto your computer, like CP onto your computer, and then harass you.
But at the same time, there are a lot more people in the gulags in China, and there are a lot less.
Making my point for me.
There are a lot less Julian Assanges
Julian
out there.
Assange wasn't even an American citizen, though. He's an Australian citizen who had never set foot in America, and yet the United States tried him for like treason of all things.
Yeah, the Chinese literally have their own police stations in major cities all across the United States without the authorization of the United States government, where they go after their kind of political dissidents and political opponents. So there's organized government agents from China literally making sure that the people here that moved from China are staying politically correct and not criticizing the Chinese state. Or if they do, their uncles and their family members literally get sent off to the gulags and to the camps.
Here's where I would agree with you, which is the complicity of our institutions. My parents went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. I lived in Champaign-Urbana for a year in between, New York and Miami, because I needed a quiet place to write. It's a university town. the degree of obvious Chinese infiltration into our engineering schools. I mean, these people will live in new high-rise. Champaign-Urbana is not a place where you have high-rises. They now have high-rises catering to these students because they have a bunch of money. They have rich CCP-connected Chinese, parents. Our institutions are letting them in.
Of
I mean,
course.
this is so. While I think our system of government is oodles better than China, it's not even a question in my mind. The corruption of our big institutions flowing out of Washington, D.C., I mean, is horrific. Mm-hmm. And their collusion with China proves that.
Right. Again, my point. There's degrees. There are degrees.
All right.
But, we're inching our way.
Trying to find common ground.
The point is, the United States used to be the bastion of freedom, right? It used to be the shining city on a hill. It used to be the place that everybody who was fleeing their country for these terrible policies would come to. And more, we're looking like the countries that people fled, is all I'm saying. I wish it wasn't so, but I am concerned because as we progress, we are just getting more and more authoritarian. Our policies are looking more authoritarian. We're allowing more authoritarian nations to have this effect on us. And that is my concern. I'm not saying, listen, I love America. My parents fled here from Cuba. They went to live a life in Venezuela and had to flee Venezuela and came back to the U.S. The United States to me represents freedom. And I don't want to see it going down this path. And that is my point. My point is just to point out, guys, if we're not keeping our eye on the ball, this is not going to be the free nation we all think it is. We need to keep pushing for more freedom. That is all.
We also have other breaking news happening right now that Adam Schiff is now allegedly expressing concern that Trump might target him for prison.
Oh,
and I think he's doing this to specifically get this preemptive pardon that we've been talking about that a lot of people are expecting. We're going to move over to the free speech platform that allows us to actually say what we want. I want to shout out Monique for joining the Telegram chat from our memberships on LukeUnfiltered.com. I see everything that kind of unfolds here. You guys could talk to me now. Monique does not want to call in, but we appreciate her signing up and then going into the Telegram channel. You could sign up right now on LukeUnfiltered.com and you could call in, be a part of this conversation and many others just by signing up and going over to the Telegram channel. Now, before moving over to thebestpoliticalshow.com, where the conversation continues for another hour, Matt, where can people find out more information about you?
oppo-research.com. That's my collected writings. I write for a lot of different places. I'm freelance.
How do you spell it?
OPPO-research, RESEARCH.com.
That's a lot. Text it to me, and then we'll put it in the description. It'll make it just easier for people to find.
I'm X Left on Twitter. Easy.
That's a lot easier.
EX
That's a lot
as
better.
X, yeah.
Martha, where can people find you?
You can find me on X and on Instagram at Bueno, my last name, for Miami, FOR Miami.
And we still got a bunch of super chats we're going to be going after and talking about in just a few minutes. But before that, Liza?
Liza Trainer, X on X.
And this is Steph We Are Change on IG and Steph WRC on X, pushing the buttons.
All right, let's just get right into it. Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about the creatine before getting out of here. You should check out creatine, one of our great products available on wearechange.shop that you could get exclusively there. This is something that I use every single day, especially after coming from the gym. It's really good for older people, really good for older ladies, as of course,
That's
if you
why
want.
Luke gave it to me. Thank you,
Yes,
Luke.
yes, and Liza as well.
I got
Luke taking
really
care
like
of
this
his
stuff.
older women.
I'm like, I gave it to my mom. I'm like, Mom, you got to take this stuff. This is really good stuff, especially when it comes to cognitive function. When you get older, your brain just kind of
Once you
goes.
research it, it really is.
And
Yeah.
really, really good stuff. You could get it. wearechange.shop. You could support us at the same time. It's the simplest boost that can make the biggest difference. This is, of course, our common sense creatine, which is pure, reliable, and it will power up your performance. Whether you're lifting weights, running, or pushing through a tough session, the creatine helps you build strength, recover faster, and stay focused with 99.99% purity. And, you're fueling your body with the good stuff. No fillers, no nonsense.
Love it.
Steph?
If you're looking to improve your endurance, boost muscle growth, or sharpen your mental game, creatine does all these things and more. This is a supplement that has got your back. Keep it simple. Try our common sense creatine. See how far it can take you. Find it now at wearechange.shop.
Thank you, guys. Now we're moving over. Thebestpoliticalshow.com. See you guys over there right now. as now we get to talk about whatever we want, including the large